Hey Stitchy friends, this is Mary the Daydream Stitcher, and this is episode 50 on my Flosstube channel. Welcome to, whether you're returning or whether you're new. I'm really happy that you're joining me today to celebrate 50 videos of cross stitch with me. So thank you for being here. Today I have some stitching to show, some rambling life things to talk about, and I have some things to share for my 50 celebration. That doesn't sound right, but my celebration for 50 videos, whatever. We're celebrating with all of you. So I'm going to start with my stitching and then go from there. What's on my Q-Snap? So today is September the 12th. I keep thinking it's the 13th, but it's the 12th, 2022. It's Monday. It's been a month since my last video, not intentionally. Things just kept happening. This is the third time I have recorded this video. Third time's the charm. This one had better turn out okay. So let's hope. Fingers crossed. On my Q-Snap right now, I have this Sleepy Hollow from Glendon Place. And what have I done since I last showed this? I have been filling in more of the grassy hills behind here, and I worked a little bit more on the pumpkin. I haven't had him out real long. I think like the last 2 or 3 days I have him out. There's still a lot more to do on here, so I really enjoy working on this. I started this last fall, I think last September, actually about exactly a year ago, when Chris Cross Stitch started it. And what can I say? It's on a 32 count linen by Picture This Plus, and it's called Alchemy. There was just a finish posted from Gary of Garon Stitchery, and he did this on, I believe it was Phantom from Picture This Plus, which is a beautiful blue, why am I looking over there? A beautiful blue purple, and it's gorgeous. I mean, it really popped on that fabric, and I wish kind of that I had done mine on that fabric, or at least a darker one. This is not the called for fabric. The called for is Haunted by Pictures Plus, and this is just what I had on hand, and so this is what I used, and I like it, but I think, you know, it would pop a lot more on a darker background, and it would look more like nighttime rather than an overcast day, but whatever, it is what it is. So for the month of September, I thought I would stitch on Halloween, because I'm getting really in a Halloween mood early. Normally it takes me a lot longer in the year because it's where I live in Florida. It's hot, hot, hot. It does not feel like fall. It does not feel like Halloween, although honestly Halloween's a lot of times hot here, but whatever. I digress. I'm very ready for Halloween, and I'm ready to decorate for Halloween, and so I'm stitching Halloween. I have a bunch of Halloween starts that I want to start, but I'm also trying to get stitches into my whips that I have. I did start Anna, and I think I showed her start maybe last video. This is where I am with her now. Anna is a Nora Corbett Bewitching Pixie, and my friend Heidi, who is on Flosstube here as Stitching Fae, F-A-E, she and I started a hashtag on Instagram, which is NoraWitchSal, hashtag NoraWitchSal, and a couple of people have joined us on there. We would love to have you all join us if you are so inclined. It's for the Bewitching Pixies line. She has some adorable little witches, pixies, and we wanted to encourage others to stitch along with us. Heidi is starting Anna. I'm not sure if she started as of this video yet, but that's the plan. I'm doing my Anna on 32 count linen from Picture This Plus once again, and this is in Murky. I have one of the pixies is done, Minerva. She's the teal witch, and she's also done on the same fabric. So I plan to do a number of those on this same fabric and then have a grouping of them all together. Murky is great for Halloween. I know that at least one person last video said that I had enabled her to start buying some Murky. So awesome. And if you watch Made by Michelle McGraw, which is a wonderful Flosstube channel if you're not familiar with it, she's great. You'll love her. She has finishes, like tons of finishes every video. She's amazing. But she does a lot of Christmas stitching on marquee, which is interesting. I would not have looked at that and thought, oh, that screams Christmas, but it works really well. It works really well. Yeah, my speech. Never mind me. You know how I am. And then what else do I have for Halloween? So this is my other Halloween that I've worked on. This is kind of a segue into my other theme that I've been working on this month. This is, I keep wanting to say the Raven, but actually this is Nevermore. Close enough. This is from Lila's studio or Lila's studio. I had a roommate and best friend in college named Lila that had an H on the end. So I don't know if this is Lila or Lila. I'm sorry, that's blowing because my air vent is up here. This is where I am so far. In theory, I started this with Stitchman Darcy. I don't know if Darcy started his yet. Mine is on the called for fabric. Mine is on the called for fabric. That's a 40 count linen called Feldspar, which once again is Picture This Plus, which is my favorite. I love everything about Picture This Plus. And I'm using mostly, well, so far I'm using all of the called for colors. I will be swapping out at least one or two that I will talk about more when I get there. I think for the Raven himself, I had to swap a color. So no big deal. And I'll talk about the details of that when I actually get to the Raven. My plan when I started that was to put one thread a day in, and that happened for about a week. And then I haven't really stitched on it that much more because I have to have my setup with my magnifying glass. I know, excuses, but this would be so much further even if I were putting one thread a day in. I feel like the 40 count goes a lot slower. Maybe I'm a slower stitcher, maybe it just doesn't, the design doesn't come together as quickly. I don't know what it is. I feel like it's really slow going. That project takes me into my second theme of September, and that is, there's a popular hashtag that was started a year or two ago called Sampler September. It's been a couple of years, I guess, and I never really have participated because I don't think of myself as a sampler stitcher. I like seeing what people are stitching, but it's not usually my go-to. And I realized that I do have samplers. I have several sampler styles. So I'm also, in addition to Halloween, I'm working on both. Although of course, Nevermore would count as both together. I can, you know, all both in both, what's the saying? Both birds in the basket. No, that's not the saying, whatever. So this one I think qualifies as a sampler from Modern Folk Embroidery. This is Fruits of Plenty that was a stitch along in 2021 that many people did in many beautiful color schemes. My colors are DMC 799 and 3750. This is stitched on a 36 count 2/2, and I am not that much further than the last time I showed it. I had to laugh because looking at my thumbnails on my channel cover thingy, some of them were months apart and showed me holding this up, and there was like barely any difference between the photos. So this is March, and I need to get March finished. It's really fun. I love those adorable tulips. So Fruits of Plenty. Another sampler that I recently posted to my Instagram, if you follow me over there, you probably saw this, is one of my Long Dog sampler projects, and that is Death by Cross Stitch. And here she is, if I can hold her straight. Death by Cross Stitch. I'm actually, I don't know which way to hold this, because and since I last showed her on Flosstube, I completed the area with the unicorn, and I put in a few more letters down here. I think I put in, what did I put in? I think I finished the A and the B, I don't know if I started on there. I know I did A for sure. And I worked some more on this diagonal, which to me looks like what I consider chevron. I don't know if that's the right term for it. I love it. I love how I mean, this is so like, the motifs are so clean and crisp. I guess that's the word I'm looking for. So crisp. And it's so satisfying. This is on a 25 count Lugana, probably an antique white from Zweigart, and I'm doing this in a silk from Silks For You called PR124. My other long dog sampler is coming out this month as well. I'm not sure if I stitched on this last time I showed it, but I will show it anyway. This is called Do Different. Do I have it the right way? And of course I've got a lot of dog hair on there. This is a 310. This is just DMC 310, and it's done on another 25 count. I think this one is called Silver Moon. Just a, you know, it's essentially a silver white. And what else can I say about it? Yeah, it's in black thread, which means that my cream golden retriever's hair shows up super well on the black. It's everywhere, everywhere. So as you can see, that's what pretty much I think right now what my sampler projects consist of. Oh, I do have this one, which I would love to get finished this month. So let's see if that can happen. I ought to just say that I'm going to, but that doesn't always work. This is called a gentle needle. I have had this one going since last June or July, I think last July, for cross stitch camp that Colorado cross stitcher was hosting and still does. Didn't finish it in that month, didn't finish it in that year. But here it is, and I just have that border to finish. I have worked on this border in the last few weeks. That's been increased and lengthened. And I just have to finish the bottom there with the peacocks. I finally got that urn where I was happy with it. That took a lot of frogging. That just wasn't happy with the symmetry or the lack of symmetry, but I got it where I'm happy with it. So I look forward to getting that one out of my whip pile. That one is on a 28 count even weave that was sold at Joann's many years ago, I think by MCG Textiles. And it's a very heavy type of fabric. I don't know what it is, except that it just said even weave. I have a couple other things to show, including, well, not including one that I had that I wanted to show, and it's not here. So I'll just show two, and then I'll try to make sure that the third one is in my next video, because I do want to talk about that one as well. I'm going to show you my current Mirabilia that I've been working on. I have put quite a few more stitches in since I last showed her. I love her. I have worked on these blues and purples down in here. She really, really looks so much better in person than she does on the cover photo. I mean, I know, if you stitch, you know. Most cover photos do not do the project justice. Her colors on that picture, at least looking to me, it looks like a lot of whites, off-whites and such. And honestly, in person they look, I mean they're light blues, light lavenders, purples. They're just beautiful. In fact, I have a confession to make, and that is I accidentally was stitching one blue, and there were supposed to be two different blues that are slightly different. They're in the same color family. I think one was 3753 and one was 3756. And I accidentally was using 3751. I forget which one, but it doesn't matter, right? But one of them I used in both places. So I'm going to continue to do that, I think, at this point, and not worry about going, you know, adding that other one, which really would add more dimension the way it's intended, the way that Nora designed it. But I like the way it looks. I think it's fine. It's my second Mira. I love the way Miras look. I get a little frustrated, and I'm slow with it. Okay, suffice it to say that I get a little frustrated, and it slows me down because Miras have a tendency to use very similar symbols, and I'm not sure why, because there's not really that many colors and there are a lot of symbols that could be chosen. I think that Nora Corbett still hand draws her designs, as far as I know. I feel like I heard that recently in one of her interviews. So if that's the case, it may just be that those are easy symbols for her to fill in. that's what I'm going to go with. But some of them are difficult to decipher from one another. So like there's a forward slash and a backslash, which are totally different colors. They're a popular one that she often uses, or like a fat arrow, one pointing, you know, a triangle, I guess like a triangle, one going this way and then one going this way. And I find myself having to continuously look back and forth and back and forth and back and forth to make sure that I'm getting it right and not messing it up, and that slows me down and it frustrates me a little bit. So that's my rant this time. I love Mira's. I'm not putting them down whatsoever, or the designer. I fully intend to finish this, and I look forward to finishing this soon. It's definitely one that I intend to finish this year. At least the stitching on it. There's a ton of beading on it. So we shall see. And then I pulled this out because I wanted to show this, because this came up the other day, sort of, and I wanted to kind of show it off and talk about it and maybe get it started again. It's kind of been a UFO. And this is a cross stitch that I started, I think in 2020, during the shutdown and everything that was going on. One of my favorite sitcoms from when I was a teenager, and still is to this day, probably is my very favorite sitcom of all time, is Wings from the 90s. It ran from like 1990 to 1997, so most of the 90s. And I was a huge fan. I still am a huge fan of that show. I love it. I got, you know, I was very involved like in the online forums back in the old 90s. You know, remember the news groups, alts, and then the thing, and then the boards, the AOL boards, Prodigy. Anybody remember those? The chat rooms on AOL. So those were the days that I was into those. And since that time, when Wings stopped in 97, they had their season finale. I cried. I was so into it. I was chatting with other people online and we were watching it together. Anyway, don't get me started about my fandoms. I have so much love for Wings. And so that year, when it ended, one of the actors on that show who played one of the brothers, he did a mini-series based on Stephen King's The Shining. Stephen King wanted to remake it because he wasn't happy with the Stanley Kubrick version. It's a whole thing. Some people hate that version. They hate it and they make fun of it. And I understand why. I completely understand why. But some people love it and they feel like it's better. And in some ways, the story itself is better and much more authentic to the book and the message of the book than the original. So that's a debate for another day and not why we're here. Anyway, when that aired, I started a little fan club for this actor. And that was, well, 20 years ago, I guess. Over 20 years ago. 25 years ago now. Wow. And through that fan club, I got to speak. I've gotten to meet him a number of times. I got to talk to him on the phone back when I was in college. It was scary. He started emailing with me back and forth in the mid 2000s. And then more recently, in the last 5 years or so, I've been able to meet him. He started doing like fan conventions and things like that, Comic-Cons, things where, you know, you can go and meet and greet people. And so I've gotten to do that. I've gotten to Zoom with him through his manager, and it's been super fun. And his name is Steven Weber. If you know of him, he is on a lot of shows. Right now, he's currently on TV on Chicago Med, playing a doctor who's not so likable. But in real life, in my experience, he's been super sweet and just very warm, very personable, very professional, great guy. Really, really, really great guy in real life. He's a dad. And so anyway, all of that to say, long story, not short, as I've said before. This was the Wings cross stitch that I started. Here you go, Darcy. I hope that's showing up. So this is a combination of a couple of cross stitches on Etsy that I purchased. I'm using kind of the design for Good Morning Maui, the type of people that she uses. I'm using that, but then she doesn't have a Wings one. I've asked her a couple times for Wings and she hasn't gotten to it yet. So the Wings, so there's another designer on Etsy, Pixel something, I think, Pixel People or something. I don't remember the name of it, but they did a wings one that wasn't quite my style, but they nailed the outfits and the look. So I've been combining those, but I didn't really chart it. I just started stitching. And so Brian ended up higher than Joe, not just taller, but like he's not level. So this is Brian, this is Joe. If you know the show, this is Helen, and then Lowell's hat was starting here, the mechanic. And you know, a lot of those actors, a lot of that cast went on to bigger and other things. Some of them are in the Marvel worlds and, you know, have won all the awards and all the things. So that was a neat starting place to see them start out. So that's my stitching for now. What else do I have? I want to talk about 50 being 50 episodes. I haven't quite hit 50 in life yet. It's not that far away, actually. It's just a few short years. And I want to say how much I love and appreciate all of you who have been with me and who take the time to watch my videos, who encourage me and cheer for me. And it's not, I keep saying me, I, right? Gosh, I sound like Darcy, Stitchman Darcy. It's all about me. No, really, it's not, because it's about enabling each other and about making friends. And I have made some friends through this stitching community that are good friends. And even though we're far apart, somehow we've really connected, and I really consider these people to be very special. And I'm hoping that we'll get to meet in person one of these days. That would be super amazing. So I want to celebrate with you all by giving away some goodies. So here's what I have for you. To start off, I have this Dimensions kit. If I can show it without too much glare, this Dimensions kit is called Goldfinches and Lilacs. I think my friend Ashley at Wayward Stitcher stitched this, or I feel like she stitched chickadees, but it's similar, but I think it might be bigger. I didn't go and like review, but I know a year or two ago she was working on that and has finished now. This is a Dimensions Petite. Do they call it Petite? I don't know if it's called Petite, but it's a Dimensions. It is a 5x7, and I would love to send this to one of my stitchy friends that tunes into my channel. It's a full coverage, it's beautiful, but because, you know, it's just one stitch at a time, it's not that big, it's not complicated. I think hopefully you'll love it. So if you're interested in me sending this to you, and by the way, I will send it to other countries. I'm in the States, and I'm happy to send it to wherever you are located, as long as I'm not going to get hit with customs fees, but I will pay for shipping there. And just let me know. You have to be over 18 or have someone who is over 18, a parent or a guardian, has to agree to like sign up for it, because you have to send me your mailing address. Very important, you must be a public subscriber to my channel. My giveaways are for public subscribers. I mean, they're for subscribers, and I need to be able to see that you are a subscriber. So please let me be able to see that. At least, you know, when I do the drawing, I need to be able to tell, because if I do check it and then I don't see that you're a subscriber, I go on and redraw again. So that's very important that this is for us, like all of us together. So do that. If you're not subscribed, go ahead and hit that button down there, please. And then I will tell you, I've got another thing. That's not all. Oh no, that's not all. Here's the other thing. I'm also giving away a gold Petite. So if this is more your speed, if you like to do the gold, which again, it's just one stitch at a time. It's just, you know, more colors, more back stitching, more detail. And this is on an 18 count, so it's a slightly smaller, you know, count, but stitches. And this one is called Bayside Cottage. So this one, if you would like to enter this, for this one, it's birds. And if you would like to enter for this one, it's cottage. C-O-T-T-A-G-E B-I-R-D-S. I love to see the creativity. I love to see what you come up with. in your sentences, trying to put those into a sentence. It's fun to see them both in one sentence because I love your creativity. It often makes me smile. But if not, if it's just been a day and you're not up for it, you can just put the words. That's okay too. Again, thank you for all of your comments and your support. And I love reading your comments. I love hearing from you. And I love, you know, connecting with you. So please let me know if you think that maybe I don't know about your channel or your Instagram. Please let me know that you have a Flosstube and I would love to come check you out. I'm going to shout out Sandy again. I mentioned her a couple of videos ago, but I want to shout her out again. Sandy at Goofy Mama Stitches. She's wonderful and I really would love to see her subscribers go up because I think, you know, she has so many adorable professional looking finishes. She does finishes that have all the bells and whistles and the bows and the, I mean, she did a finish recently with sunflowers and it had like a little white picket fence, like the little wooden decoration, like physical, like, you know, 3D picket fence, and she does the gingham bows and the chalkboard things and the wall hangings, and behind her she's got lots and lots of beautiful finishes. So Goofy Mama Stitches, and she's really sweet. I really enjoy hearing from her. So please go see her and check out those finishes. I'm so envious because I shouldn't say I can't. I don't put the time and the effort into it. I have a number of things that I would love to finish, that I need to finish, particularly for Halloween and Christmas coming up, so that I could put them out to display, and I keep putting it off. I keep finding reasons not to. This back here, my Mira, my garden prelude, who I'm calling Seaside Prelude, my viola lady, she is now in another frame. Thank you for all the comments in my last video about the framing woes and the framing frustrations and all of your kind words. I heard from a lot of people saying that she looked fine the way she was, that she looked good, and I really appreciate that. It meant a lot. At the time that after I posted that video, I already had taken her out of that frame, and so she's in here now. The other frame was an 18 by 24. This one is 16 by 20, and it doesn't have the matting. I love matting. I think it really adds to the piece. So I don't know if this is going to be permanent, but I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. There's no glass in this one either because this frame, it just had cheap plexiglass that was not doing any favors. So I took it out, and if I decide to keep her in that frame, I'll probably just get some better glass for her. It's a standard size, so it shouldn't be that hard to get good glass. This one, see if I can, look at that. This is my September Country Cottage Needleworks. And I stitched this last September. If anybody remembers, I showed this last September. It's an actual finish that I did. I did flat fold via Vanna Pfeiffer's Twisted Stitcher tutorial. And I'm very proud of how it turned out. I'm very happy with it. And I said that I was going to stitch one of these a month, the little cottages, monthly cottages, and I was going to do one a month. And guess how many I've done? No more. It's the only one I've stitched. It's the only one I've even started. So I would like to stitch on those again. You know, I love those. I have most of them, but I can't find October or November or December for that matter. I don't know where they are. So meanwhile, I just keep working on what I have. I have like 3 Halloween pieces that I am really wanting to start. So much. I have them all. I have them kitted up. And every day I try to push it off to another day. So, because I need to get some finishes. I don't have very many finishes this month. I'm going to talk briefly about life and then I'm going to go because I promised my son that I would take him for a walk and now it's getting dark. Oopsies. Sorry, Ryan, if you watch this back. So what was I going to ramble about? Oh, okay. I started a new job. I did get a job. It's just part-time on the weekends, 2/12s, and for right now, it's going to be every weekend, but then it's supposed to go to every other weekend as other people are, you know, there's other people there's one nurse there that's been there every weekend for over a year, and so, you know, we'll be alternating, and I think there's another one. So it's in an assisted living facility, and there's no shortage of those here in Florida. And the job search itself was quite an adventure, but it was really interesting because you know, if you know me a little bit, you know that I tend to, I don't know what the word is. I tend not to value myself as much as I probably should. And I thought, you know, I haven't worked outside the home in a couple of years. Before that, I was at a facility for 12 years. I was at the same facility. I was full-time, I was part-time. I worked mostly afternoon and evening shifts there. And, you know, I thought going back into the job market that nobody was going to want me. They were all going to be like, well, why haven't you been working the last couple of years? You know, what happened? And, you know, I tried to fill that in on my resume, but I thought I wasn't going to get any interest. I had places calling me that found my resume online that I didn't even apply to. Every place I applied to offered me a job. I mean, I guess, you know what, if you're in that field, now's the time if you want to work in assisted living, they're looking, they want you. So that was encouraging to know that I was, you know, they wanted me, and I had a couple of job offers that were kind of competing with one another, and I took the one that I felt the best about, which also happened to offer the most. It's not about the money, but you know what, it is kind of about the money, because that's why I went back to work. I'm hoping to save up so that I can get to some stitch retreats and meet some of you in person. That's kind of my goal, and also to help my husband get through school. He's going back for his nurse practitioner, so we're looking forward to that happening. And so yeah, so I started this past weekend. I shadowed another nurse. It was good. It was good. It's quite different than my other facility, and having been at my last facility for 12 years, you know, you really, even with changes, you still, you know your place, and you know where you are. This place is a lot different than the other one, so it's assisted livings, their licensing can be very different depending on what type of license they have. So you have some assisted livings that are practically skilled nursing, which skilled nursing is what a lot of people refer to as a nursing home, where the residents there need a lot of hands-on care from staff. And then you have assisted livings that are a step above that, where there's help, quite a lot of help, but they're not quite the level of care required for skilled nursing. And then you have ALFs that are barely anything, any assistant at all. And so where I used to work, nurses gave all the meds. We couldn't do certain things. We couldn't do certain medical things, but we did do insulin. We did do, breathing treatments, and what else did we do? I don't know. We were very hands-on and with the residents, and we did the med pass, we did all of those things. This place uses med techs, and they just want a nurse in the building. And honestly, I was told when I was hired, they just want a nurse's face in the building so that the family feels better. But it's very different, and there's not a lot of communication. Even though you're supposed to be the supervisor, there wasn't much communication about what that entails. And the med techs do their own thing, and that seems to run on its own, and it's kind of its own machine, and you're just kind of out of the loop. And even the nurse I was following was even the same way. So it's like, she's very frustrated about that. And because at my other facility, we had roles as far as, we took call-offs, we would fill those in, we would have to fill those, and we'd have to do a lot of paperwork and things like that. And a lot of this stuff is up to the med techs, and I just don't know how that's going to play out, because I feel like if a ball gets dropped and then I'm considered the supervisor, but I don't know that the ball is dropped, then I don't know. I need to not worry, but at the same time, when you have a license and people are working under your license, there need to be certain things lined up. So that will remain to be seen. I'm thankful that I don't have to work there. If it's not a good situation, I can leave. But I'm looking forward to checking out the possibilities, the opportunities. The good news is that my supervisor who hired me, she is the director of the nurse, you know, the med techs and stuff, and she's an RN, and she's new. She's only been there a month. So she's trying to make changes, and she's trying to get things together. So I can't really judge on what it's like now, because I know that changes are coming and being implemented. So that makes me hopeful and optimistic. It was actually really nice to get out of the house and be around some new people, and I love meeting the residents. I had the opportunity, because we had the time, I was able to go in and I had to do some questionnaires for the facility, and it was like 13 pages of questions, but it gave me a chance to really meet some of the residents and get to know them. And of course, it wasn't just, you know, it wasn't just asking those questions about what their needs were. It was, you know, they were telling me stories about their families, about their lives, and that's my favorite part of that job, and always has been. So that feels good. And what else? And then one more thing, and then I will go, because it's getting dark. So 2 weeks ago, no, is it 3 weeks ago? Maybe? 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago today, actually, I lost a very dear friend. He was a very special person to me. He was a light in my life that I will always remember, that he will always, you know, I will always carry in my heart. He was someone that I met many years ago when I was 18, and he gave me so many beautiful memories, experiences that I would have never had otherwise. And you know what? I'm going to be honest. He could be a very difficult person. It was a challenge to be his friend, and anyone that knew him personally and was close with him at any point in time will say the same thing. I know 100%. He was difficult. He was a challenge, and he had a lot of personal demons and struggles that got in his way of having the life that he really wanted to have. But he also could be very funny and fun. He could be, you know, he was a big kid, and in pretty much every way. So take that for what it's worth. But he was fun to be around, and like I said, he gave me some great times. We hung out quite a bit when I was in my early 20s, and then we lost touch for a number of years. And then a few years ago, we reconnected on social media, and then we saw each other a few times, and we actually we hung out and did, you know, went to some stuff and hung out some places and had so much fun. He actually is, or was, I keep saying is, he was a musician for the Monkees, the 60s group, the Monkees. They, if you know them, I'm a Believer, Daydream Believer, which is where my channel name comes from. What else they had a lot of hits. Pleasant Valley Sunday, Last Train to Clarksville. And they have been touring, you know, they had been touring and performing solo and as a group all these years. And I am a big fan of the Monkees, and that's how I met my friend. He was their keyboardist and backup singer for over 25 years, toured with them. Many of the videos, if you go on YouTube and you look for videos of the Monkees performing, with the exception of a couple tours that he was not on, but most of them he was. There are a lot of clips of them on various talk shows promoting tours and things like that he's on in the background. And so because of that, he was able to, you know, I was able to have some unique experiences through him. But also most of our time, most of my memories spent with him were away from all of that. I really didn't spend much time at all with that, and I didn't know them that well. I mean, I knew them a little bit, and they knew me a little bit, but you know, that wasn't what it was. We had a very close relationship off and on for over almost 25 years now. So that's a big loss. I hadn't talked to him in a couple of years. I think the last time I talked to him was maybe like in the end of 2020. And he had called me to tell me last summer that he was diagnosed with cancer. And at that time, I chose not to call him back for a couple of reasons. And when I heard he had passed, I immediately felt so guilty and so regretful. And then I realized that, you know what, I was there for him for a long time, and I had reasons that I didn't call him back, and I I'm thankful that the last time we spoke, every time pretty much that we spoke, it was always very kind and loving, and we both had a lot of love for each other in different ways. You know, our friendship grew and evolved, and we became, you know, we were involved many years ago, and then later on it was more of a friendship. And well, it was not more of a friendship, it was a friendship. I don't know what I'm saying. Anyway, he's gone, and it feels like a light has kind of gone out. And I talked to quite a few people because of the situation. I have a lot of mutual friends and a lot of people who knew of him, didn't know him personally like I did, but, you know, followed him and knew of him. And most people, even people that used to be close with him, didn't know how sick he was, or they would have been there too. We just didn't know. Had I known he was that sick, I would have definitely reached out to him. And funny thing, I have to tell you really quickly, the night that he passed away on the 28th of August on a Sunday afternoon, evening. I found out a couple hours later. He lived up in Boston, so not close. And that night, about 11 o'clock, we were going to bed. We were in bed and the lights were off and nobody was speaking. There were no pets in the room. There was no movement in the room. I mean, there was no sound in the room or whatever. And my Alexa speaker just started playing a song. She didn't say anything like she normally does. She normally announces songs, but then again, she never just comes on and plays a song. I've never heard her do that before or after. She started playing a Fleetwood Mac song, who's one of my favorite bands, and it's Go Your Own Way. And I was freaked out, but I said, okay, well, I went to turn it off, and my husband, who was in the room, and he knows my friend, and you know, knows of our history together, and he said, wait, does this fit? Like, does this song fit? Listen to the lyrics. And it does. It actually sounds just like something he would have said. So that just was really weird, and I don't know what that was, but I'm taking it. I'm taking it as a sign. I will take that, and I will just say that, you know, he definitely touched my life, and I will always treasure the memories that we had together. I'm listening to a lot of Steely Dan this week. That was our band. We used to listen to them all the time when we were hanging out, and we went to see them a couple of years ago. We actually went together to see them live, which was amazing. Anyway, that's my time, and I will stop rambling about these things, and I look forward to seeing you all. Don't forget to enter the giveaway below. Oh, one more thing. If you know Flosstube, you know the drill, but please do not use the word giveaway in the comments below, or I will have to delete the comment. And I wish you all luck. I will see you next time. Hopefully it'll be sooner than a month. Happy stitching. Bye.